Joining me now, political commentator Mo Kelly, live from Los Angeles, and Mike Madrid, a Republican consultant in Sacramento. Thank you both for being with us. I know it's a little bit earlier out on the West Coast than it is here, but we appreciate you being up late with us regardless. Mo, let me start with you. What is your view on, this has been a pretty rough 24, 48 hours for Donald Trump between the stories we just ran through, whether it's criminal referrals on January 6th, the conviction for his company on tax fraud, or the election in Georgia where his handpicked candidate lost.
I would say it's a bad night, an extension of a bad week and a bad month. That's saying nothing of what happened last week with the whole Kanye West drama. If anything, we're seeing the loosening of the grip of Donald Trump on the Republican Party. There are more Republican members of this Congress who are willing to criticize him, maybe not by name, but we heard what Mitch McConnell has said and Mike Pence has said. If anything, it says that Donald Trump is in trouble in the sense of within his own party and his presidential prospects, and also life after politics, what he'll do in business, if anything.
So, Mike Madrid, what's your view on this? You've worked against Donald Trump for many years, but the reality is he has defied political gravity at every turn. We've now got a lot of Republicans, including many we've spoken to tonight, saying, you know what, this is enough. We're now willing to say it in public. But still, it's not clear voters have abandoned him. It's not clear that many of the Republican leaders, including people like Kevin McCarthy, are willing to actually do what it would take to cut him out. What do you think all of this means for him as he continues to, again, run for president?
Look, I think you characterized it perfectly. Anybody who's counting out Donald Trump is making a very serious political miscalculation. Donald Trump still enjoys probably the most intense support base in the Republican Party that I've seen over the course of the past 3 decades, probably going back into the Reagan years, and I would even suggest even beyond that. And we have to remember the Republican Party state primaries are winner-take-all primaries. The bigger the field gets for Donald Trump, the better it is for him. That's how he won in 2016, which I would remind viewers was the exact same scenario that we're seeing today, where people were actually vocally being critical of him. He needs that oxygen. He needs that attack. He needs to run against the establishment. Without that, Donald Trump starts to flail. I think that all of these developments do suggest that he will start coalescing at least a plurality of the Republican base. I don't think it will be unanimous the way that it was during his reelection effort when we beat him in 2020. But to count him out, I think, is, again, a very serious political miscalculation.
So, Mo, just to kind of flip this on its head for a second, we've also been talking a little bit here about what all of this means for Democrats as we head toward 2024. Obviously, there have been some questions about President Biden and whether he's going to run, but it does seem like he is on track to launch a bid there. What should the takeaway be for Democrats from what's unfolded in Georgia?
I would say the Democrats should celebrate. It is a win. It is a positive move for the Democratic Party, but they should be very sober. Let's be honest. Herschel Walker was a bad candidate, not a good candidate, not even a decent candidate, but he still managed to push this race to a runoff. And in the runoff, he got 48.6% of the vote, which means that there's a very slim margin for this Democratic coalition, which performed very well in Georgia. And I would say that Georgia is a purple state now. That is a positive, but I don't think that they should celebrate too much with this win in Georgia and think that it's going to carry over into 2024. They beat a bad candidate, but it's not anything to celebrate big picture.
All right, Mo Kelly, Mike Madrid, thank you both for staying up with us and joining us tonight. We really appreciate your insights. And Democrats now celebrating their true majority in the U.S. Senate now that Georgia has delivered that 51st seat. I'll be back with our panel right after a quick break.